Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Tassis Kilimos. Happy to be joining you guys for another edition of Play Action Takes here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. I am joined by my co-host, Spencer Mulkentine. Spence, welcome back. How are we feeling?
Another
Thanksgiving holiday
week.
review mirror.
It was good.
You're a little
Holidays.
salty because you had such a huge lead on me and then you lost.
Yeah, because your stupid format that you came up with, the overtime being 2 units. I didn't like the play as much as the other ones. It was thrown on me. But
welcome back, guys, to Play Action Takes. If you missed last week's video, we had a massive format change for the show. We're moving away from a normal pick'em show to a gambling format, kind of a game show. Real quick, just to explain what the format is. We have 5 quarters, if you will, 5 games each week that we will break down and each give you our best bets. We have 1 unit to use for each game, except for the overtime period, where each bet is worth 2 units. Now, you can split those up. You'll see how the rules go as the show goes along. But basically, for every game except for overtime, you have 1 unit each person to work with. Now, Johnny's not here this week. He unfortunately could not make it, but his picks will be on the screen with our picks. I'll make sure to put that in post edits. So you guys will be able to see Johnny's picks. For last week's standings, real quick before we jump into this week, I finished first place, went 4-1. Spencer finished second, 3-2, and I don't know the exact record because Johnny split a lot of his picks. I think it was like 3-4 or 4-3. All I know is Johnny finished last place. So as a result, I get to pick a punishment for John as the winner and him being the loser. For my punishment that I have selected for Johnny Football, and this is probably going to hurt him a little bit, although he was eager to wear that Dolphins jersey last week. For the rest of this season, he will not be allowed to wear any Raiders memorabilia, apparel, attire on camera during recordings for the rest of the season. That means
so you
no
can't
hat.
wear 90% of his closet.
Exactly. No hats, no jerseys, no Raider shirts, no nothing, and there cannot be anything
He's
Raider in the
opening
background
UPS
either.
outfit.
Yeah, he's gonna have to buy some new clothes now just for the show because he cannot wear anything Raiders for the rest of the season. Kind of a light punishment to kick off the new format. But if you guys know John Hardell, that's actually kind of a big deal because, like Spencer just said, 90% of this guy's closet is Raiders gear. But let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's jump into the Week 13 NFL slate here. Got first quarter, the Seattle Seahawks at the Dallas Cowboys, an actual solid Thursday night showdown. Spence, I'll let you start it off since you finished, below me last week. What do you got going on here for this Cowboys Seahawks matchup? By the way, I know how pissed are you though? Because you were 3-0, and you were talking about how you were going to carry for the boys, and you were going to carry for the boys. And you were going to put us on the map with a 5-0 sweep and all this stuff, and you just kind of shit your pants towards the end.
I was feeling good. I was 3-0 on Thanksgiving. Then the Raiders put up 14 unanswered to start off the game against the Chiefs, and I was like, oh shit, this fucking under's dead, isn't it? So that hurt, and then I even had said on the show I hate primetime overs and I love primetime unders, and I took an over in primetime. So I thought it was too easy. Too easy, I said. Terrible pick. I'm sorry about both of those picks, but hey, if you tell me on Thanksgiving,
it's okay though, because you got me to team carry. That's why I'm here. I went 4-0 on H2H. I went 4-1 on this show. I just, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to clean up people's messes.
You just combined Tassos and I for 1 unit plays. You would have went 7-3 on the weekend, and you would have had a great weekend. So
yeah. So just FYI for the people watching, we give you guys some winners.
I'll take going up 4 units on the weekend.
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
Who do you got here? Cowboys, Seahawks, first game of this week's slate in Dallas. Cowboys obviously coming off that huge Thanksgiving win.
Yeah.
Seahawks coming off that Thanksgiving loss. Where are you leaning?
I'm going to ride Tassos, the fact that Thursday night football games are usually shit shows. So Cowboys minus 7.5. They're 5-0 against the spread at home. Seahawks look really mediocre at best. Mediocre at best. Seahawks are my golden child when we start the season. We went over this last week, but Cowboys minus 7.5 at home. I can't go against that 5-0 spread. Jerry World's a different place. They're like 18-2 in the last 20 games at home or something like that. Something crazy. This Cowboys defense, I don't know. It seems a little overrated. Like people put it in like the top 3 category. It's not top 3, but they get to play a little couple shitty offenses, so they look really good. The Seattle's offense is very inconsistent, and I just think they won't be able to keep up with that offense at home. So Cowboys -7.5.
Not a bad bet. I do like it for the most part. I do think Dallas is the better team. However, what scares me about this game a little bit is the fact that like when Dallas, they're kind of, and I know I keep shitting on you a little bit when I say it, but they're like the Dolphins, where it's like they beat up on the not so good teams, and when they play better teams, they kind of fall apart. Seattle has not looked like a good team in quite a while, but they are 6-5. They are fighting for a playoff spot here, and they are a solid team overall. I think Dallas might struggle a little bit here, so I actually have on DraftKings, I have this at +8.5. So I'm going to go opposite of you here. Actually, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks +8.5 in Jerry World. I think Dallas wins this game. Make no mistake. I think the Dallas Cowboys absolutely win this game. I just think that 8.5. At least I got it at 8.5 points. Now you might be able to get it like you got it at 7.5 some places, but on DraftKings
FanDuel
I
has
do
it at
have it.
7.5.
I have it on DraftKings right now at 8.5 points. So I that's just, to me, it's way too many points. And I know Dallas is a really good football team. And I know Seattle's trending in the wrong direction. I just can't see Dallas covering a spread of this large against it's technically a playoff contender. Just a couple weeks ago, Seattle was one of the top 3 teams in the NFC. I know they've kind of gone on a downward spiral here, but Thursday Night Football, kind of a shitty game. I could see Seattle kind of hanging around, keeping it within 9 points, 8-9 points. I don't think should be too difficult. Like I said, I agree with you. I don't think this Cowboys defense is all that great. I think it is a little bit overrated. So that's kind of why I lean Seattle here. Again, I get it. Seattle defense not that great. Their offense has been really shitty lately. Geno Smith, yikes.
Mediocre at its finest. I don't know. The Cowboys are just a different team at home. They got the Eagles coming up next week. Hopefully, they're hoping that the Eagles pick up a loss this weekend to the 49ers. And if they do, that game's going to mean something. It's going to be in Jerry World again. They'll be one game back from the Eagles, so who knows? Maybe that's a little extra motivation to put a smackdown on Thursday night to give a little pressure to the Eagles going into Sunday.
Fair. I don't hate that. And that's actually, I'm not just saying it because you said it. I was very hesitant to take the Seahawks here last second because of that fact. Because I was like, there is a narrative where, like, if the Cowboys win and the Niners win and the Eagles pick up a loss, now it's only a 1-game separation between the Eagles and the Cowboys going into that Jerry World matchup. Now all of a sudden Dallas is in play for the division and, the conference, really. So, however, that's also what Dallas does best. They love to set themselves up just to fail in the end. But yeah, no, I actually, like I said, I like
this
the pick.
Is a little bit of a different team.
Yeah, like I said, I think the Cowboys will win. I think they will absolutely win this game. Make no mistake. It's just
who knows? Maybe they win. Maybe they win by 8, and we both pick up a dub here.
Hey, listen, that could happen. Moving on here, second quarter. We have Sunday Night Football. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Green Bay Packers. Just a real quick to let you guys know what happened here with the format. So originally the format was the first 3 quarters with the primetime games Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and then the last 2 games will be randomized. However, we record on Mondays, and we talked about it pre-show. It just makes no sense to do Monday night games, and we're never gonna know the results of Monday night until after the show's been recorded. And what's the point of that? Then we're never gonna know who wins. We're never gonna know total. So we decided to axe Monday Night Football. So we will never do Monday Night Football games on this show.
We'll do the game of the week.
We have other stuff on the channel. We have other stuff on the channel that covers Monday night anyway, so we're fine. So the first quarter and the second quarter will always be Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. The third quarter will be a consensus pick where we both decide, all right, this is a game we want to talk about. And then the last 2 quarters, like last week, will be randomized. But here we go. Second quarter, we got Chiefs Packers in Lambeau. Sunday Night Football. Kind of confusing why this game got a Sunday Night Football bid, other than I guess the historic rivalry of Chiefs Packers. But
100% historic aspect.
I guess that's about it. It's the historic aspect. But I guess I will start us off.
Jordan Love is going to be what he is right now too. I mean, Jordan Love's been looking good.
He's looked better. I mean, the last 2 weeks he's looked definitely better. But I do think this is kind of a weird, like, it just feels like a weird matchup here. I am not going to overthink this too much. I'm going to go Chiefs -6.5. Kansas City, I get it. They haven't been the most impressive team. But I look this Packers team has been playing better. That Thursday night, they beat the Lions, and they didn't just beat them. They controlled them. They dominated them.
Especially on the
So
defensive
that
side
is
of the
kind
ball.
of the Packers are trending in the right direction. Which in the Chiefs, they're the Chiefs. They beat the Raiders, but like they struggled for a good chunk of that game. The Raiders had them, but then the Raiders turned into the Raiders in the second half, and the Chiefs were able to pull away. Which is kind of what I predicted, not to keep going back to last week when I won, but I did have Chiefs -4.5 second half. They crushed that line. I just think Kansas City, this is the much better team. I don't really care about where it is, who it is. I think the Chiefs are the better team, and I think 6.5 points. I think most importantly, Jordan Love against this Chiefs defense worries me. Like the Lions defense the last 2 weeks, they've kind of been giving up a lot of points. This Chiefs defense is one of the better defenses they've played this year, and I think they're going to cause a little bit of havoc for Jordan Love and this Packers offense. So give me Chiefs here, -6.5. Spence, what are your thoughts on that pick?
I actually, if I had to go with a spread, that was the spread I was going with. But I think you're gonna love my pick. You might even tail my pick. That's how good my pick is.
All right, I'm listening.
I got a 6-point teaser. Chiefs -0.5 under 48.5. The Chiefs games have only eclipsed 48 one time this year. They beat the Bears 41-10 early on in the season. Since then, the Chiefs games have not gone over 48 points. Last week was their highest scoring week in a while. I don't think this Packers offense can put up enough points to eclipse the 48.5 mark. So, and it's a primetime under. Kind of like an extended primetime under as well. Chiefs -0.5 under 48.5. 6-point teaser. First teaser on the show, but it was just too good. Too good.
Spence, I do like that a lot, actually. I do like that a lot. I can't even hate on that pick. Actually, kind of a genius pick too. Like obviously, I think we both agree the Chiefs are probably going to win this game. So getting it down to half a point, you're literally just taking them as a pick 'em at that point.
Exactly.
And then again, like you just said with this under, and I agree with you. Like I just said about the Chiefs defense, I don't think the Packers are going to be able to move the ball easily or score on this team. The Chiefs have a top 5 defense in the league right now, which is kind of crazy to
100%
say.
they do have a top 5 defense. Chris Jones is in the running for DPOY. When he's on the field, that defense is something else. And
I got the Greek Tasmanian Devil, George Karlaftis.
Yeah. But the thing is like the Packers offense did so well against the Lions is because of that turnover margin. That starting field position, that Packers defense, they had a pick 6 as well.
Pick 6. There was I think Jared Goff lost the football I think he had 3 fumbles. 2 or 3 fumbles lost.
Starting field position was definitely in their favor that whole entire game. So that Packers offense is still, I don't know, there's still question marks around it. So, but I do, and also I don't think, this Chiefs offense, even though it looked good against that Raiders defense in the second half, it took them a while to get going.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice broke out last week. It was his first time, I think, eclipsing 100 yards all season. He's not going to do that every week.
I think he's the guy right now that they're hoping kind of jumps up because they don't have anybody else besides Kelsey. They don't have anybody else.
Yeah. I still think this Packers defense is decent. It's not terrible.
It is, for sure. They still have players on the defense. I don't think it's as good as I think we thought it was going to be.
No, because their pass rush isn't that great. They don't really have a linebacker, but their secondary is decent. It's okay. And
they have Jair Alexander, which obviously put it up a notch.
I think it's more about this fact that this Chief offense doesn't blow me away. So
no,
again, they haven't even not one game where a Chiefs game that was always in the 50s. To have an over under at 43.5 would be unspoken of last year, but yeah. So I'm taking it at 48.5, and I'm taking the under teaser. 6 points. Chiefs pick 'em under 48.5. I can't see it going over 48.5 points. It just seems like way too high of a mark for this Chiefs team right now.
I agree. No, I agree. I think that's the thing. That 42.5 mark, I just scary because that's too few. Even for this Chiefs team and this Packers team, as bad as their offense has been, that's too low. But it sounds crazy, but that extra touchdown of space you gave yourself honestly makes a world of difference. I agree with you. Like I don't, for example, the Chiefs game last week was 31-17. And even that wouldn't hit this over. You know what I mean? Like the under still hits in that scenario.
You literally need 7 touchdowns for this under to miss.
You would need the
just,
Chiefs. The Chiefs would have to win like 31-20 or something along those lines. You'd have to go over 50
right,
points. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'd have to. The
yeah,
Packers were going to have to
I
score
can't
at least
see
17
7 or
points.
more touchdowns being scored in this game.
No. And like, you need, I think in order for this over to hit, you need the Chiefs to, because the Packers are not going to score 25 plus on the Chiefs. They're
Right.
not. So you need the Chiefs to score at least 30, which you know in years past that's not crazy to ask of them, but this year asking the Chiefs to score over 30 points is not a guarantee. And
No,
you
hasn't
know,
been a guarantee.
and like I said, and even in that scenario where the Chiefs score over 30, you still need Green Bay to contribute at least like 17 points or so. And I don't know if they can even do that. So yeah, I actually really like that teaser. I won't tail it. I'll stick with my Chiefs -6.5 pick. But I do very much enjoy. That's a solid pick, Spence. I give you hats off to that one. I'm not actually gonna take my hat off, but I'll give you hats off for that.
Thank you, sir.
Not bad.
Thank you.
Not bad. All right, moving along here. Third quarter. This is our consensus game where we kind of all decided this is the match we want to talk about, and I think this is the game of the week.
Might
We
be
got
game of the year.
Niners, Eagles in Philly. Battle for the 1 seed in the NFC. Now, it is worth noting, even if the Niners win this game, they're still behind the Eagles. But they would be a little bit closer, and they would have the tiebreaker, more importantly. Spence, you get to start this one off. What are you thinking here for this? I have an idea. I have a feeling I know where you're leaning because you have been a known Eagle hater this year. But where do you lean in here for this game?
Tassos, you know me, my Infinity Gauntlet. When Brock Purdy has it, no team comes within a score. So the fact that they're only -2.5, I know it's the Eagles. And I know it's away, and I know the Eagles have the refs in their pocket. I just think there's such a narrative to make this NFC tight that if the 49ers win this weekend, this NFC becomes super interesting. If the Eagles win this weekend, it's done. Like the NFC is decided.
Yeah, it's finished.
Right. If the 49ers win this weekend, all of a sudden the Cowboys game becomes interesting. All of a sudden the 49ers are back in. All of a sudden we got a little show down the stretch. But Brock Purdy Infinity Gauntlet, San Francisco -2.5, lock it in. Had no teams come within a score. This healthy Niners team, I think, is the best team in the NFL when they're healthy. I know I just said healthy twice, but healthy. That's the story of their season, though. Story of their franchise in the past 2 years.
No, we talked about it quite a bit now. We've talked about the Niners, and I'm actually going to tell you, I'm not going to go any different. I'm taking Niners -2.5. I love this pick, honestly.
Right.
I think we both agree. This is truthfully, and I don't think there's much denying it. This is the best team in the NFL when they're healthy. When Brock Purdy has everything, like we talked about many times, the Infinity Gauntlet, right? When he has the gauntlet, he can just snap his fingers, and he can, he's got Deebo Samuel and McCaffrey and Ayuk and Kittle and all these guys. This offense is unstoppable. Defensively, they're fantastic, and they just added Chase Young to the defense on top of it all. Like this Niners team is just disgusting. It is like an all-star team put together.
What happens when you have a quarterback getting $600K a year?
Exactly. And like I said, Brock Purdy, you don't need him to be anything special. You just game manager. But it works for them, and it works for the Niners. The big thing, honestly, obviously the Niners being as good as they are is a big factor. I think the Eagles, and I'm on with you a little. I think the Eagles, I give them more credit than probably you would. I do think they're obviously one of the top 3 or 4 best teams in the league. Yeah. But they can't keep getting away with this. Insert Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad meme.
Right.
You can't keep getting away with this. Like they have played ugly football.
Their way a lot, Tassos, if that makes sense.
They have played a lot of ugly football. Like they have been in a lot of tight games. Now that's a sign of a good team that you can find a way to win even when things are ugly or not working exactly your way. But you just get the feeling that like at some point, we've been talking about it all year, but like the Jets game is the only instance where like it finally broke not their way. But like they just can't keep playing the way they are, like lackadaisical and not careful with the football. Their defense giving up 400 plus yards a week. Like at some point, it's going to bite them in the ass. And I think the Niners are the team to do it. And I think it's going to humble the Eagles a little bit. I think, like I said, I agree with you with the whole narrative thing. Obviously, if the Niners win, it's good for the league. It's good for the NFC because right now, again, if the Eagles win, the Eagles really have nothing to play for the rest of the way. The NFC is basically decided for the most part if the Eagles win. So I do like Niners here -2.5. Eagles are a good team, but they have a lot of flaws, and I do think the Niners, when they are healthy, can't expose a lot of those flaws.
I don't know if I'm a big Eagles hater or a big Nick Sirianni hater. I get it. He embodies that Eagles like fan base mindset of like us against the world. But dude, stop being a fucking douchebag at the end of the day. You know, like you're an NFL head coach, and I get that, but like saying who was he yelling at the other week? What fan base was he saying? What now? Can't hear you. Something like you're
Oh yeah,
barking at
yeah.
a
I
you're
forget who he's talking about.
he was barking at a fan base. Like, grow up, dude.
He is truthfully though. He is Philly's coach. Like he is
Right.
exactly what
He
the
embodies the
Eagles need.
villain, us against the
Yep.
world. Just I don't know. I don't think I'd want that out of my head coach at all.
Yeah, but
Like
you
his
gotta understand again, thinking about the geography of it, where they are, like that is Philly, right? They're always
right.
pissed off. Even when they're good, they're pissed off, and like they just have this attitude of like we're the underdogs, we're the Rocky Balboa story, we're always
Yeah.
climbing up those steps, and everyone wants to take us down. But even though that's not even the case half the time,
No.
he just fits Philly, and
Like nobody
I
wants
agree
to
with
take
you.
it
Like
on
the
the
whole crying during the crying during the Super Bowl, like the pregame, like I was like, come on, man, like he is a great coach, no doubt about it. But like personality wise, he is kind of a
like
douche.
everybody always tells like athletes like not to go on Twitter, don't let the media affect you. This dude lets the media affect him at the biggest like the highest level. Like
Oh
he's the
yeah,
biggest culprit. Like I swear he like literally I bet you he doesn't even give a post game speech. He just goes straight into his office and starts ripping. What is it now? X. He just starts
X. It's still
ripping that.
Twitter. Let's be real. It's Twitter still.
He starts ripping it. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of him.
I like this Eagles team. I won't lie. Like I do like what they have.
You got little
I'm always
kids
been.
flipping
I've been
off
a Jalen
Bills
Hurts
fans.
fan. I love this defense. Like I love that. Like I love Jalen Carter. I love the pieces
Right,
they have.
they got some likable guys on their team. It's just not. I
Obviously,
don't
the
know.
Jason Kelsey thing. Like it's hard to hate that guy. He's a very
Right, it's hard to
likable
hate
guy.
Jason Kelsey, but just the aura. I think it's the Nick Sirianni aura that I don't like.
I think it's just the Philly aura too. Just the fact that it's Philadelphia. It's like in basketball. Like if the Knicks were good, and like I don't mean like playoff good. I mean like championship good. Like there's just certain fan bases that are like the Sixers, another Philly team. Like there's just certain teams and fan bases that like you just don't want them to be good because it's just a nightmare for everybody else. And the Eagles are one of those teams where it's like you don't want their. It's a lot more fun when the Eagles are shit
Right, or just mediocre.
or mediocre or like the Cowboys spot where like they're always like imagine the Cowboys if they were still winning Super Bowls, like how unbelievable that fan base would be. Oh, it'd be
Be terrible.
unbearable. That's why it's God intended it this way. For the last 30 plus years, he's demanded that the Cowboys can't have anything great. They're always just barely good enough, but never great. But all right, moving on here. We got fourth quarter. So these games were randomly selected for us. I used a lottery ball generator thing online to determine these games. So the first one here, we have not a great matchup, I'll be totally honest, but that is what the generator provided for us. We got Falcons Jets in New York. Not exactly a game that is going to draw a lot of eyes, but we can give you guys some picks to at least make it watchable if you're a fan of both those teams. Because as someone who's a Patriots fan this year and has watched a lot of shitty football,
You were there in person to watch some shitty football this weekend.
I was there in person, and let's just say
You probably watched the
a fun.
epitome of shit this weekend.
Oh, it was. So here's the thing, though. Alcohol helps everything when it comes to watching football. And so, yes, I was there, and yes, it was some shitty football. I was feeling good, to the point that I actually, thank God, there's no video evidence, but I actually tumbled down and did a barrel roll down 4 rows of seats in MetLife Stadium. Not my proudest moment. To be fair,
Hey,
it wasn't because I was.
It's steep.
It wasn't because I was. It wasn't because I was drunk. It was more just like the leg room, like the area between seats, is so tight. I've got big feet. Just
you
got
guys have
caught
never
in the
been to
chair and
MetLife.
fell.
MetLife gets steep, man. It's scary out there. They try to fit a lot of seats in a little fucking toilet bowl out there, you know?
Yeah, I just kept going. Like, luckily, I hate to say it, but I ended up hitting somebody, like
Yeah.
kicking a guy in the head, and it was that guy. And I wish I had bought him a drink or something. That guy, his head stopping my momentum, is the only thing that stopped me from going down another 3 or 4 rows. To be totally honest, like I was bound to just keep rolling for eternity if it wasn't for that guy. So shout out to the guy kicked in the head with both of my feet. But Falcons Jets here, Spence. You got anything that you like in this shitty ass game?
I'm trying to give a bet that's gonna hit hopefully early.
Okay.
I have Desmond Ritter over a half an interception. I bet you it's gonna be like
I
-1.
like the idea here. Get the people out of this game early as possible.
Right. I think it's gonna hit early. I don't think it will be great odds. As we know, we record on Monday, so prop bets we can't really see. I bet you this comes in at like minus 140 Tassos. Uh,
Oh yeah,
Desmond
yeah, I
Ritter
would have to say so. Desmond Ritter is
has
just the epitome
thrown
of
like
turnover
8
king.
picks in 8 starts or 8 appearances. The Jets defense gets over an interception a game. They had 2 last week. Desmond Ritter threw 2 last week. Best of both worlds. By the way, Tassos, I want to blow up MetLife. Sorry. The
I mean,
turf.
as someone who was just there last weekend,
Not literally.
like literally
Not
yesterday,
literally. I
it
don't.
is a shit show.
Not literally. I don't want to literally blow it up. But if it were to go away, if the turf were to go away, Jalen Phillips tore an Achilles last week on the MetLife turf. Not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. But
I mean, it's got to go away, right? Like I think after this year, you got to imagine
yeah,
that they're
it's
finally
definitely.
going to do something
So
about
like
it.
I think Tassos and I got to our eyes got to I don't know the right words for the beauty of the grass over there in the London. Oh,
Yep,
these guys, let me tell you about the turf management over on these soccer pitches.
it is
If they can
unbelievable.
bring that to America, they literally had like heaters on
Yeah,
the
it
on
was
the turf.
I was
It's
watching a farm. There was a farm on the field, like they were
right.
heating everything.
Literally to grow grass, it was curved so like the water like goes off the turf. It was just perfect. It was the most perfect thing I've ever
The
seen in my
tour
life.
guide described it like there's a whole like scientific book you could write on Premier League turf management. Like it's crazy
Right. It's
how
like
much they go into it.
what
It's like
was
you're
it like
telling me that the NFL
80%
can't do that.
grass, 20% turf or something like 80% grass,
Yeah,
20%.
it's like 85% grass, 15% artificial turf. And he even mentioned the fact that the tour guide said the fact that like that prevents a lot more injuries than compared to the NFL or like football, American football. He told us
Right.
like it prevents a lot more injuries. Like and that's the thing. Like the NFL is just being cheap, and it's like you're the biggest sports league in America. Like just put fucking grass.
Like MetLife
Like there's no
seats
reason.
it seats 70,000 plus people and you can't put in real grass.
Yeah. Oh,
Fucking the
it's
Raiders roll
tough
in
to
and out.
maintain. It's tough to
Right.
maintain.
I don't
Shut up.
understand.
Just put
Yeah.
grass. Like the thing is, like you're ruining people's careers. But I think especially with MetLife, if not the entire league, I think MetLife especially. I think after this season, something's got to be done. There's just been way too many Achilles injuries on that turf in particular. I feel like something's gonna
Yeah.
get done. Also, it is worth noting, if it doesn't happen this year, it will 100% happen the following year because a lot of these NFL stadiums are hosting the World Cup, and UEFA or not UEFA, FIFA, excuse me, FIFA will not allow their players to play on this turf. And I know MetLife, I'm pretty sure, I think MetLife hosts one of the games or a couple
No,
games.
MetLife hosts a game.
Yeah. And they will not allow their players to play on this turf. So whether it happens now or in a year or two, because I know Gillette Stadium, the same thing. Like all these football stadiums that are hosting, they're going to have to change the grass because the World Cup will not allow them to play on turf.
I just don't
So,
understand it. It's like all
it
this
seems like
money.
common sense. It seems like common sense, truthfully.
Yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
Like especially look at the Jets for example. Like imagine what this season looks like if you have Aaron Rodgers, and like
Right.
it's because of your decision to stick with turf that you're in the spot you are. Like if you had just done the right thing and put grass in, you'd probably still have your quarterback right now, and you wouldn't be. What are they now? 4-7. You'd be like 7-4, honestly, or maybe even better with Rodgers. So. And now in terms of me for this game, because I'll tell you, this is 2 games in a row we're tailing. I'm gonna go with the over half an interception. The only way that he doesn't throw a pick is if he gets benched before he throws a pick.
I agree.
So we're gonna ride with that together. I'm not gonna overthink this. Just give me Desmond Ritter to throw an interception. I wish it honestly could be worth parlaying. You know what?
Both
I'm gonna
of
do
them
that.
are thrown pick.
Scratch all this from the record. Scratch everything that we just talked about. I'm doing a parlay, same game. Desmond Ritter to throw an interception and Tim Boyle to throw an interception. That's it. That's my final pick. Same game parlay. Put both of them together. This is gonna be a shit show game. There's got to be an interception both sides.
The fucking balls, dude. I don't even think Tim Boyle threw the ball farther than 3 yards down the field. I just want to let it be known I benched
Well,
Garrett
no, remember
Wilson.
he threw that pick six. He threw that pick six on the Hail Mary.
Yeah, because he had to throw it 15 yards downfield. I benched Garrett Wilson this weekend on the pure fact that I was like, oh, they're not going to throw the football. They didn't throw the football. They threw it 12 times. All 12 times to Garrett Wilson, and he got it to the end zone in garbage time.
Yeah,
Brutal.
they did. They did. They did.
Brutal.
I actually that was huge for me because I had a parlay with Garrett Wilson in it, and that actually won me like $300. So actually ended up working in
Nice.
my favor. But yeah, it was
Every time you
this
bench
game's gonna
somebody
suck.
that's not supposed to be benched, they go off.
Oh, I'm living the Gabe Davis nightmare all year long, so you don't have to tell me twice about that. All right, guys, moving on to the overtime, the final game of our slate here. We are going Denver Broncos at the Houston Texans here. As for this game, I'm going spread here. I'm going to go with an alternate line, actually, and I know the value is going to be a little bit worse, but I'm going to go Texans minus 2.5 here on the alternate line. The final odds for that will be posted in here. I know the odds are going to be great, but this is a 2-unit bet, and I'm not putting 2 units on something that scares me like 3.5 points does. The Broncos right now, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. I'm basically fading the public here, and the public is probably going to be heavy on Denver. The Broncos have been on a roll of late. They look really good under Sean Payton. The Texans, they're coming off that loss to the Jaguars. I just like Houston at home here. I think this Texans team is legit. They just added Derek Barnett. I don't know how much that means for their defense from the Eagles, but they did just pick him up off waivers. Again, for this being our 2-unit play, I'm not like super pleased with it. I'll be totally honest. Like having this be the matchup, but I like the Texans here. This is a massive game for playoff implications too, in the AFC. But I do like the Texans. I can't lie. So give me the Texans here minus 2.5 alternate line.
I like it because I'll tell you what I did.
Okay.
So I got scared because I knew about the whole 2 units in overtime, and I knew this was the overtime game. So I did a little something to switch it up. I put a unit on Texans minus 3 because I also like Texans here. I put a half unit on the money line, and then a half unit on Texans minus 6.5.
Okay.
Therefore, I hope they cover the spread. If they don't cover the spread, I'll win like 0.45 units. I'll limit the damage a little bit. But I also think if they do cover minus 3, I don't think it's going to be a 5-point game. I do think they'll win by a touchdown or more. If that makes sense.
You're going with the Brandon Anderson strategy where you like a pick, so you just keep betting up the ladder. You take
up the
3,
ladder,
and then 6, and then 7, and then all you need is like 2 of them to hit realistically, and you're good. Or one of them, you know what I mean? Like I actually don't hate.
So basically, what I'm hoping is that they cover the spread for a unit and a half.
Yeah.
And if I'll have a little candy, a little juice if they win by a touchdown, you know.
Yep. And again, we don't have the odds officially in front of us right now. We'll get the final odds in the edit. But it's going to be plus money, absolutely, for sure.
Right.
So if that hits, you only get half a unit on it. If it hits, pretty good hit. So I don't hate the strategy there, Spence. Not a bad strategy out of you, kid. I respect that.
I'm with you though, Tassos. I do think the public's going to be on Broncos. They're a little hot. They've beaten some good teams. I think CJ Stroud's some different gravy, Tassos. Some different gravy. I
like him a lot.
Like Devin Singletary's been looking really good. The Broncos' rush defense isn't that great. That front isn't that great. They don't really get off to the quarterback. Josh Allen. They've played Josh Allen. They beat Josh Allen. And what was the other team? They beat another good team, the Seahawks.
So they've won. So the Broncos have won 3 in a row. Actually, they've won more than that. They've won, I think, like 5 in a row.
They've won 4 of their last 5, I think.
They've won 5 in a row. So they beat the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Vikings, and the Browns.
But mind you, Tassos, they're going on the road, and I think 4 of those last 5 wins are coming at home.
Not only that, you're correct. 4 of the last 5 wins were at home. Like the Cleveland win, it's not. I'm not saying it's not impressive, but like it is. The Browns are starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Right.
Like they don't have a quarterback. The Vikings, and as much as we love the Josh Dobbs storyline, we have to be honest with ourselves. It's Josh Dobbs. You know, the Bills are kind of sputtering out of control. So their last 3 games are against teams that have either been sputtering out, in a downward spiral, or have backup quarterbacks starting.
Yeah.
You know, and then the Green Bay win, it's Green Bay, and they snuck a win there. And the only win that I'll give them legit, like, wow, that was impressed me, was the Chiefs game, because they didn't just beat them, they dominated them. But the Chiefs also have their flaws. So, you know, every team has flaws.
Also,
so you can't discredit every win of theirs. But like, truthfully, like a lot of these wins, they come off as kind of fluky to me.
my thing is like that Chiefs win. The Chiefs were definitely looking forward, 100%. Had to have been. You know, they definitely like. Not a lot of film was watched that week. They're like, oh shit, this team just got beat by 67.
That was before the Dolphins London game, right? Or Germany game, whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
That was after the Broncos were the worst team in the NFL. They looked like the worst team in the NFL. You probably division rival. Patrick Mahomes has never lost to the Broncos until that point. 100% was just looking by that, you know, looking past that. Maybe it was a little Vegas call, you know, kill some parlays here, kill that money line. You know, never know, Tassos. There's a lot of things. I just don't. This Broncos team, even though Russ looks a little better, I bet you if you need a touchdown scorer for that night, Cortland Sutton's been getting in a lot.
Yeah.
So I would probably take Cortland Sutton if I had to take a touchdown scorer. But realistically, this Texans team is just different. Especially at home. I know I'm pretty sure last week was at home, right? But
yeah, they lost
they had the red helmets on, so they're definitely at home.
But they had opportunities to win that game, though. They had opportunities to beat the Jaguars. They just, you know,
right,
didn't go their way in the end. But it was close, and the Jaguars are one of the better teams in the league, and they kept it within 3. And honestly, again, had chances to win that game. But I'm with you. I love the Texans here. That's why I took it. Like I said, I took the alternate line just because I hate that 3.5 point number. At least that's what I had it on. I had like 3.5, so I'll bet it down to 2.5 and take the alternate line.
Yeah.
You know, the value is not going to be as great on that, but I could give two shits.
I had it at 3 times, so that makes me feel better.
So then either way, 3 down to 2.5. Like it's gonna make the odds less favorable. But for a 2-unit play, I don't.
Right.
Mind.
If I think it's at 3.5, I bet you by Saturday or Sunday it will shift down because I'm pretty sure money will be heavy on the Broncos plus 3.5. It just seems like, you know, a lot of people will be scared of that 3.5 spread, so maybe the money will load up on the Broncos for you, get that line down to 3, and then maybe it's a push no blood type of thing. So you won't even have to take that minus 2.5 maybe.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But like I said, the moral of the story being, I think we both think the Texans are going to win this game. I think, like I said, Denver, they're a nice story, and they have turned their season around. But the reality is, this team they started blowing it up before this run. Like they started gutting the defense a little bit, and so playing well, but like this is still a team that's flawed, foundation wise. So should be interesting. Actually, not a horrible game. It's like I said, it's actually a pretty big game in terms of playoff implications because both of these teams right now are fighting for their playoff lives. And with the tiebreaker in store, this is actually going to be a pretty good game, I think. But guys, that is it for us. Again, like I said, you'll see as you watch along, all of Johnny's picks will be on the screen. Spencer, anything you want to sound off on before we go? Oh, actually, real quick, I did have something really quickly. Speaking of John Hardell, who is not here, I just thought it was funny. We had to comment on a little comment that he made last week. He did bet his parents' livelihood, their lives, not just their livelihood, their lives on the Travis Kelce anytime touchdown, and he did not score a touchdown. So John killed his parents.
He's a murderer.
Sorry to Johnny and Lynn Hardell. Your son put your lives on a Chiefs touchdown prop. That's unfortunate.
Did it pay out?
It was such a funny thing in the moment, and the fact that like it didn't happen in the game was just even funnier. It's like you put that on your parents and you didn't even score, but I just had to bring that up. Again, the punishment for last week, John will not be allowed.
I would have loved to be a fly in the wall for that first quarter when the Raiders were up 14-0.
Oh, they were going. They had to be hyped. They had to be like, we're back. We're so back. We're here. We're here. We're not going. We're playoff bound. And then little by little, the Chiefs start pulling back. But all right, guys, that is it for us today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. We love seeing the comments. We love interacting with you guys. Make sure to keep dropping comments below. From me and Spencer and Johnny, who's not here, We wish you all a happy NFL Week 13. I hope you're all winners. Hope you cashed all your bets, especially if you're riding with us. Spencer, any last words?
No, sir.
All right, guys. We will see you next week. Until then, hope you cash your bets.